Hello, families. This is Ms. Sanchez here. I'm the assistant principal of Aspire Tate Academy. The purpose of this webinar is just to give you a breakdown on what transitional kinder is, why it exists, how it works, essentially overall here at Tate. So just really quickly, the behind like what is transitional kinder? Transitional kinder is the first year of a 2-year kindergarten program that uses a modified kinder curriculum that is age and developmentally appropriate. So it's pretty much a bridge between preschool and kindergarten for children that are turning 5 years old on or between September 2nd and December 5th. So a child who participates in TK must complete the second year of the program in kindergarten before attending first grade. So the reason why TK exists. So historically, California has had one of the latest dates for kindergarten admittance in the nation. So that means that children starting kindergarten must turn age 5 by December 2nd of the school year. This has meant, so as you can see in the little picture on the left corner, that children entering kindergarten in the fall, oftentimes there's a group, at least a fourth of the kids, that are still 4 years old by the time that they go into kindergarten. And as a result, they've decided to create the TK program because every year the kinder start standards have also been getting harder. So although there's a lot, that means that there are younger kids in a program that for some students might be a little bit more difficult. So that's why California decided to start the TK program. And that's when they passed the Senate Bill 1381, which is how that started. And again, so the plan overall is that that group of 4-year-olds that are TK would then they'd be in transitional kinder 1 year, and then for the second year when they are actually 5, they're going to be in a second year or the official first year of kinder. So the why. So the reason why California decided to do this, and so we wanted to show you some data of just the impacts for students that have been in TK and that are then in kindergarten. So data says that for the students who are entering kindergarten, so that means that for kids, the blue bar that you see is the students that did TK, so year TK and then their kindergarten year, like the rest of the students. And the green bar is the students that have only done kinder, so they didn't do a TK program. And as you can see, overall, their scores for overall and also when it comes to listening and speaking, students who have had TK or who participated in the TK program score better than our students who have only done kindergarten. So just another data piece that has to do with letter word identification, phonological awareness, quantitative concepts, and applied problems. Similarly, so when they're comparing students who did transitional kinder and students who have not across subjects, students in transitional kinder do better. So they have higher scores. So again, this is not just in terms of math, but also in phonics. Similar, so now this table is more so in terms of social skills. And it was a study that teachers got to rate students' social skills. And those social skills were specifically cooperation, engagement, self-control, absence of externalizing, and absence of internalizing behaviors. And as you can see, the data is consistent. Students who participated in the TK program tend to have better social skills than students that come into kinder without without being in a TK program. So that brings us to this slide, and it pretty much just gives us a breakdown of the additional benefits. So a summary kind of what I just showed you. So it pretty much leads to a greater social and emotional maturity amongst kinder students. We also see a higher academic achievement, fewer retentions, fewer referrals to special education. There's an increased likelihood of them attending college according to data that has been collected throughout the years. And there's also been data, again, collected throughout the years of students that have participated in the TK program that there's an increased likelihood of them earning higher wages when they go on to being adults and pursuing a career. So in terms of talking about what it's like, so kind of what's the difference between TK, students that are in TK and students that are in kindergarten, this question comes up a lot because they're in the same class. So in short, it's very similar to kinder. So TK students are still working on reading, writing, math, choice time, which is like purposeful playtime or structured playtime. And the difference is that with TK students, we pretty much we give them what they're prepared for. So if they're ready to go further into the kindergarten standards, then cool, like we continue to expose them to those kindergarten standards. But we also, like, our main focus is based on the preschool learning foundations. So our main thing is that they're learning the standards according to kinder, so for example, a focus in TK would be learning numbers 1 through 5. And in kindergarten, it's more numbers pretty much. And so we mostly focus with TK students and them learning 1 through 5. But if they're able to learn or ready to learn more numbers, then we move forward with teaching them that. So we don't push it, but if they're ready, we go for it. It's the summary. And so when it comes to the question of like, okay, well, what about like, how do we go about adjusting the curriculum to address TK students' needs, especially for our TK students that maybe are not progressing as fast. And something that we do to cater to our TK students is small group breakouts. So that means that they're receiving instruction along with other TK students. And that could be, sometimes it's with the teachers, sometimes it's with our 2 instructional assistants. So it varies, but the main thing is that they are getting adjusted instruction within these small groups. So another really important piece that we want to stress to you is just like the importance of developing good habits in TK. So we know that oftentimes it might feel like, oh, well, like it's optional, right? Because it's a additional year that many other students maybe not be doing TK, but we want to stress that it's really, really important that our TK students develop good habits. So that means that from the beginning, we want to stress that they're especially attending school every day. And research shows, and I put a little table there, that chronic absenteeism in kindergarten ends up impacting their academic performance throughout the years. So the higher their absenteeism, the lower their scores when it came to reading, to math, and to their general knowledge. So the numbers that you see at the bottom of this table, it has the percentage of chronic absenteeism that they were. So for students, for example, that were absent for more than 10% of the school year, they're the side that has the lowest bar graphs. So how many absences is too many? And this is important, and I put this on here specifically because it oftentimes creeps up. So like chronic absenteeism, 10% of the school year is actually only about 2 to 3 days per month. So if they miss 2 days per month throughout the year, or 2 days and then 3 days some months, they're already chronically absent. And research already says that just with 2 days, 3 days a month, they're already falling behind, and it already has an impact on their future. Research says that they're not attending college as often, they're not pursuing careers as often, they're not testing as well when they're in high school. So it's really, really important that they're at school every day. TK is the foundation, so it sets them up for establishing the habits that they're going to have for the rest of their career in education. So some strategies that we want to offer, and I listed them on here, so feel free to pause if you want to like quickly review them. But it's pretty much making sure that they have a regular bedtime and routines, so that they know that every night, for example, they have to brush their teeth, wash their face, that they have dinner, and that there's a particular time that they go to sleep every day. And then the same thing with the morning, so that their morning routine is the same. So they know that they wake up at a particular time, they eat at a particular time, they get dressed, they get ready. Obviously, like for every child, that varies depending, the order might vary, but just making sure to work with your child to ensure that that stays the same for them every day. Also, just making sure that any medical and dental appointments are done after school or during non-school hours. Aligning family vacations with school vacations. So if you want to know the vacation calendar in advance, feel free to reach out to our parent coordinator, Mr. Campos, and he will be able to tell you what dates we have vacations. Also having backup plans, so in case something comes up. I know right now we're virtual, So if something did come up that you have someone is available in the home, sometimes it might have to be an older sibling, right? That sets them up for learning for when school starts, or it might be grandma, aunt, whoever it is that is available to support them to log on in case parents aren't there. And this goes the same for when we're back in the building, is just setting up a backup plan in case for whatever reason they can't do their usual routine of how to get to school, that there is a backup plan for someone that can take them. Also talking to us if your child is feeling anxious about school. So oftentimes it happens that kids will, when they're at school or in the mornings, they feel anxious about something that it shows up physically. So they might say, my stomach hurts, my head hurts. They'll say they essentially that they don't feel good. And oftentimes with some students, like they really might not feel good. It might be really a physical illness. But for other kids, it might actually be that there's something going on either at school or at home with their friends that's making them feel uncomfortable coming to school, and it's showing up. They might not know that that's what it's causing for them, that it's causing stress, or just that it's, it's causing them to not want to come to school. So it's just important that if they're saying that they're feeling anxious, or you sense that they're anxious, to let us know so that we can also talk to them and check in with them and explore, if there's something going on that's making them feel that way. Something else is just making sure that they're not watching TV or digital games, electronics in the morning as much as possible. Oftentimes, like the kids get really like bought into the game and they don't want to stop because they're, almost passing a level or something. So I think just making sure that they're not playing those games in the morning. And again, this goes for both in the building and when we're in virtual learning. Oftentimes, they might be logging on late because they were caught up with the game. Just in the same way when we were in the building, oftentimes they might be, waiting to get dressed because they're caught up in the game. We also are recommending this right now that we're virtual because they have so much screen time right now that we're encouraging parents to try to limit their screen time as much as possible, so that when they are learning for school, they're not digitally tired, I guess you could say, that they're not tired of just being on the screen because they were on the screen for a whole hour before, they were on the screen up at night. Enforcing an appropriate bedtime is number 7, so making sure that they get enough rest. The younger kiddos, especially TK Kinder, they sleep more, so making sure you're putting them to bed early. Relaxing before going to bed, so engaging them in a relaxing activity that might be reading, it might be just talking, laying down with them and telling them a story. So something that helps them be in a more calm mood. Using an alarm clock is another big one. Again, just that helps with the routine. And planning to arrive early, again, whether that be class, virtually, or in the building. So really quickly, every year, not every year, but it's happened here and there, that we have parents that say like, oh, would it be possible for my child to skip kinder and go on to first grade? And it hasn't happened while I've been at Tate, which has been about 7 years, that we have a TK student who meets the kinder standards. That's not to say that they can't, like they totally, I hope that we do have TK students that can meet them, because that'd be pretty amazing. But we technically, the TK program is a 2-year program. We're not going to say that they can't, but there are a few things that they have to pass, or like kind of like assessments that they would have to pass in order to be able to do that. So we outlined those here. So if in order for a student to surpass kinder and go on to first grade, they would have to independently read level D books. And they would have to read the books with 98% accuracy. For writing, they also have to use a combination of words and pictures to tell a story about a single event over multiple pages. The kindergarten standards, so at the end of kindergarten, for math, they should be able to name and count from 0 to 100 and write from 0 to 20. They also need to be able to solve addition and subtraction word problems that have the numbers 0 through 20, and compose and decompose numbers 11 to 19 to build understanding of place value. For SEL, they need to be able to use their bugs and wishes, sharing, turn taking, evidence of listening attentively, self-advocacy, problem solving. Last but not least, phonics. So in order to say like get to the end of kindergarten, our kindergartners that are going into first grade need to be able to name all 54 letters and 26 sounds, 60 sight words, and at least 80% or better on each of the DIBEL subtests. So the DIBEL subtests are basically like tests on foundational skills. So again, this is part of like, this is the reason why I say like it's very rare that there's a student who a TK student that has met all of these standards to be able to skip kindergarten. Again, like if they do, that'll make me super pumped and excited. But again, like we aren't able to just have them skip the grade. We have to collect evidence that they're able to. And these are the evidence pieces that we would have to collect. So obviously there's a question or comment slide. I know that this is a webinar, but this upcoming Thursday, we are going to have office hours. So in case TK parents, you want to come and you have any questions, you can feel free to join us during those office hours and ask those questions. Or if you have any comments, we also welcome those comments. So we encourage you to join us. And we will be sending that information out in terms of the time and the links through Parent Square. And also Mr. Campos is going to be giving you all a call. So we hope to see you there on Thursday if you have any questions. All right, thank you.